We got to get out of the sectarianism in the aspect of the different groups having different philosophies and thinking that that is supposed to be exclusive. And what it means is we are dealing with ancient fragments, which means no matter what we're into, whether we Egyptian or Camite or Hebrew or Islam or the religious spectrum, but even newfound aspects of East Indian, Native American or whatever, we're dealing with fragments, which means when you're dealing with fragments, it means that there's no complete system. There's no complete system of anything that survives in the cohesiveness of being the system of 2,000-3,000 years ago. There's nothing that's complete on the planet. That means that we are still dealing with fragments, so no matter how much you have a wide body of material, it's only fragments. Now, what is done is to fill in the fragments by usurping all of the information. Let me give you an example. Now, white folks know one thing. If it don't work, they don't mess around with it. We the only people that stick around with something that don't work for 1,000 years. White folks, if it don't work, they get the hell on. They for results. And in the Western occultism of the Europeans, they figure out we ain't the origin of none of this. So we don't get into the argument of what came before the other, because they realize that all of this is fragment. So what they do is they utilize all of it, like taking all the components of stuff around the earth and putting it together to make one system of something that will work. They call it chaos magic. You see, they call it chaos magic, which Richard King tells you that melanin is chaos. But is it that hot or something? What is it? I'm just trying to see, is it hot? What's hot in it? Oh, it's going to get there? Okay, that's cool then. All right, that's cool. So, it's chaos. It never stops moving. Now, which means is the flow of energy and the flow of anything of creativity is based on chaos. So they have chaos mathematics, chaos science, chaos magic, and basically in so many words, when you're dealing with these particular elements, you're supposed to use all of it. You find something in Hebrew, which is a missing fragment that used to exist in Hemmitt, you use it. You find some in the existing fragments of Christianity. But remember now, the Christian motifs came straight out of Africa before they was usurped into by the Roman government to make it some exclusive religion that was never taught before on the planet. You know what I'm saying? That whole greatest story ever sold. So the key here is we got to get out of this sectarianism. Any particular aspect is we are all trained in a certain branch of the mysteries, whether it be the Christian aspect, which is something that is. So what I'm saying here is we don't want to abandon the baby with the, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Everything is a composite. Greek. Why we say that? Because we now talk about the Minoans, the Etruscans, which is all black civilizations. You see what I'm saying? All this comes out of pre-dynastic Egypt. Pre-dynastic Egypt travels out of Kemet, sets up Tyrania, Etruria, Etruscan, Minoan, Sumerian, Babylonian, Chaldean, all of that type of stuff. At this particular time, we shouldn't be looking for an identity. That was the first part of the Afrocentric movement, is we had to identify as a people of an ancient people, and we had to identify. We understand the particular aspect of the political level of getting a people out of the dumps and realizing that we were just Negroes born in America in cabbage patch. But at this particular time here, to go further, you must access all of it. Like Albert Muhammad used to say, this whole planet is ours. Here it is. I want to show you something. This is y'all all right? Yeah. I'm going to go into a question and answer. This whole planet is ours. Let me show you something here. Here's some pictures. There was Sister Sharon Lewis, I guess she'll come, or whatever the deal is. She sent me a video by a brother by the name of Eugene Adams. We didn't know the guy's name. But it was history on the temple walls where they had us going into slavery on the temple walls of China. Later on, we found out, in the tape I got in the summer of 2003 was almost like Morse code. You could barely look at it. So I took it up to a brother named Shabazz up in New York. He said, I'll find this brother. The brother, because I found out when I went to Connecticut, one of the sisters said, well, we know that the brother lives in the Bronx. His name is Eugene Adams. So this was enough for the brother Shabazz, who sells tapes on the streets down in, right across the street from Long Island University, downtown Brooklyn. He found the brother, and we got a clear tape of this particular thing, and it shows Asia when it was black. Later on, and it breaks this whole thing down. It's called Africans in Asia. You can get it several ways. You can also get it from Serious Times, several ways you can get these tapes. But here's some pictures that came off the temple walls of Africa, of Asia, and it's clearly black people. These are coming from Vietnam. So it's interesting here because we had found out, yeah, here's two of them. You can pass these around. I wish I should have put them on acetate, and I could have put them here. We might go tomorrow to put them on the acetate so that we can show this, you know, to the viewing audience. But you can pass them out. You can clearly see. Well, that's a bad one. You get the biggest one. Let me see. Get the biggest one. Just take one. One of them is bigger than the other, so make sure you see both. But anyway, this is coming from Vietnam. But you come to find out that part of the Vietnam War, and you're going to find out with most of these wars on the planet, have nothing to do with what we think they are. Let's give you an example. British guy named Basil Davidson. You heard he wrote a lot of books on Africa. There was two documentaries came out in the late 80s, early 90s on the history of Africa. One by a black guy by the name of Ali Maserati, which was a Muslim, which mostly had a Muslim slant to it. And the guy Basil Davidson, which had one of the better ones, the Basil Davidson, but a lot of black people didn't get the one from Basil Davidson when they ordered a lot of these from schools because Basil Davidson was white. But Basil Davidson was one of the better documentaries, as Professor John Henry Clark used to say. And it was the interesting part because in that documentary they go down to find the original pyramid builders in the original pyramid builder. I'm going to throw libations and all that in a few minutes. But they said, we're going to go beyond Kennedy and go to the original pyramid builder. So they went on down into basically Nubia, Point, Somalia, which is say Kush or whatever, Ethiopia. And they went down to this particular part. And they asked them, who would these people be? And on the tape, they show these actual Africans building pyramids in the late 1980s. Small pyramids down in Nubia, Kush or whatever, in the Horn of Africa. The guy said, so Basil Davidson asked the question, well, who would these people look like? And there's a guy that's at the university says, they look like me. And this brother was about your color. He said, they look like me. And all. And so, this brother was at the university there in Khartoum. Khartoum is where? That is, what is the place where they have all the Sudan. So here it is, the Basil Davidson traced from the original pyramid builders to Sudan at Khartoum. And then all of a sudden, you see this whole thing going on with the slavery and the genocide in Sudan. See what I'm saying? Well, this whole Vietnam thing has a whole mystical side to it. So going back, and I do this to illustrate a point, that we need to usurp the entire planet. Because we got people that's stuck in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Stuck in Kemet. We got people that's stuck in West Africa. We got people that's romanticizing the continent of Africa, and the continent of Africa, you see what I'm saying, is damn near a brief period of where we were if it was all one landmass. And all the scholars agree that one landmass has also been proven scientifically that it was one landmass. So therefore, at this particular time, in order to get the fragments, you got to usurp all of it. Native American, real big. A lot of Native American energies, I'm going to get into in a few minutes, is rising. We talk about in the spirit world. So therefore, you're going to have to usurp the Native American aspect. You're going to have to usurp the Mesoamerican, which is the whole Hispanic thing. In particular, there's a whole book called Mexican Magic. Very key book, came out around 2000. The reason why we say you have to usurp that because when we're dealing with the Palomanombe and the Santeria, we see these particular Mexican deities, Santísima Muerte, El Cristo Negro, El Cristo Rey, or Santísima Fifa, even fused in with the Congo African rites. So we're saying at this particular time there's fragments, and if you there's fragments, and if you just are looking at one portion of the earth and still thinking you're going to get what you're looking for just on the continent of Africa, you're wrong, because the continent of Africa is dead. You see what I'm saying? But the point about it here is based on history. The mystery would be in the West.